All right, everybody, with us this week, we're joined by Trevor Baptiste. I mean, probably not only is he a face-off specialist, we're going to say it, face of the league, one of the faces of the league,
It's fair.
all-star, MVP, you name it. But Trevor joins us from the you're in Seattle right now, right? All in the hotel?
Yeah, no, thanks for having me. Yeah, we're out in Seattle. We play here this weekend. We got a game against the Cannons tomorrow night. So getting geared up.
So, I mean, obviously different leagues, but old team.
Oh yeah.
That's true.
I was like, oh, they took me for a little loop there. Yeah, it's crazy to think about the MLL days. It seems like so long ago, but yeah, I got drafted to the Cannons back in 2018 before the PLL started. Yeah, man, it's crazy. It's come full circle. It's really come full circle.
So we always hit the hard-hitting journalism question at first, which you probably heard, whether it's one time or 1,000 times. But tell us in your own words, who is Trevor Baptiste?
Oh wow. I think Trevor's hopefully a fun guy. Likes long walks on the beach. No, I think I think like I pride myself on just working hard and being a great teammate. I think that's really important to me. And I think getting into lacrosse was something that I never really thought that I'd be doing as a professional. I just kind of did it in the off season with a lot of friends I played football with, and I ended up falling in love with this game, and it's taken me so many great places. And what's important to me is obviously put my best effort out on the field, but also continue to grow the game and just hopefully just brighten people's day a little bit. It's something that I just try to do in life.
So, I mean, you're a guy that's already being called one of the best face-off specialists of all time, right? Like, I think a lot of people look at you and say, hey, this is a guy that's revolutionizing the Fogo position. And this is something that you and I talked about a couple of weeks ago too. It's like this wasn't necessarily, I don't want to say it's something you never thought would happen, but it was definitely like a realization of your dreams, right? So, I mean, like, tell us about the moment you picked up the lacrosse stick for the first time. You start playing in just a humble town in New Jersey. What was that like for you? And you weren't always taking face-offs from the jump.
Yeah, no, I picked up a stick. I kind of said a little bit. I played football growing up in my town, and a lot of guys I played with, they were like, oh, we're playing lacrosse in the spring. They were playing for a few years at that point. So they're like, you got to come play. Like, you'd love it. It's so much fun. And I was like, all right, I've never really heard of this game before, but I'll give it a go. All my friends are doing it. So I came out. I started playing defense to start because I was just very behind on the whole game. So they were just like, yeah, just try to stop people from scoring. So I did that, and that was fun. And, it was mainly just hanging out with my friends. Then, 6th grade, 7th grade, I started to get a little bit better. I started practicing, got to stick in my hands more. Then they're like, oh, like, you have a good stick, for our team at that point. And they're like, all right, we're going to switch to attack. And I think like just my athleticism was always something that really propelled me into the game. So needed somebody to score goals, and then I switched to attack and then started playing a little bit of attack. Then in high school, they're like, okay, like, you can really get up and down the field. Like, you play a little bit of defense, we're going to switch you to midfield. So then I started running midfield. And back then, like, I played offense and defense. It wasn't as specialized, but I would say I played a little bit more offense. And then, so I'm playing midi, and, everything's going well. I'm getting a lot of playing time in high school. And then we had a really great face-off guy, but he was battling a lot of injuries. So our coach was like, all right, like, we need someone to take the face-off if, Ryan gets hurt. So I was like, all right, I'll be that guy. Like, it looks kind of fun. I like the head-to-head mentality of it. So I started taking face-offs. And then Ryan went down one game, and I started taking face-offs. And, at first I wasn't anything special, but I really just took a love for that part of the game. I like the physicality of it. I like the toughness of it. And, I mean, you can kind of tell in like the mantra of just coming up playing that like I'm really down to do whatever it takes to win and whatever it takes to help the team win. Like it never really was about for me like, oh, I got to be the one scoring goals, or oh, I have to be the one stopping the number one guy from scoring goals, or I got to be feeding. Like that was never important to me. It was all right, like where do we need help and like how can I help? And then it happened to be faceoffs, and I think that's kind of hand in hand with the position. You win faceoffs. It puts your team in a great position to win the game. Just getting possession and being tough and picking up the ball in a 50-50 ground ball. So I stuck with that. Started getting pretty good at it. Got recruited to Denver, and then won a national championship, went pro, and now here we are.
And I mean, for someone in your position too, it's kind of unconventional, your style. I mean, I would say it's a very small list of people who can win faceoffs majority of the time and then immediately go score goals. So are there like players that, whether you emulated styles or stuff that you took from the football field that made you this athlete you are today?
I would say football specifically. I mean, growing up, I loved to watch Jerome Bettis. And I mean, he was, I don't know if it translates hand to hand, but I was like, that guy just gets it done. Like you can run through the line, and it's like, when you need a goal and you're close to the net, it's like, all right, or close to the end zone, you're like, all right, like this guy's going to get it, and so that was somebody I always watched growing up. I think it's just looking in the sport, somebody like Kyle Harrison, like he was like my idol growing up. And, when he was playing back, the game was a little bit different. He took face-offs and he played offense. So it was great. That's kind of like what I looked at my game as.
So, for you got to be careful what you say, first of all, because they do those like NFL player comparisons on ESPN. They compare like Ryan Tarafanko to Stephon Diggs and stuff. It's going to show up like Trevor Baptiste to Jerome Bettis next time you guys are on ESPN. So watch out for that one. That'd be interesting.
I was just saying someone I liked watching. It's somebody that inspired me, but. You can Photoshop it on if you want. I don't know. That's cool. That's cool.
We'll shield that from the league. We'll make sure they don't hear that. No, that's funny. Yeah. But so I mean, Denver, you bring up a good point. Like you go and play for this legend, Bill Tierney, who's won a national title at Princeton at this point. That was an insane start to a long career for you, right? I mean, I think I whipped this out on the broadcast the other day. You went 63-2-4, right? You had 69 face-off matchups. You won 63 of them. That means you lost to, like, you only ever were defeated twice in a matchup. Like that, I don't think people realize that that's insane. So I think it speaks to a lot of the success at Denver you guys had. So, I mean, what do you attribute most to just being that monster of a team that went all the way in 2015? It was a lot of the guys around you, I'm sure. It was a lot of Coach Tierney as well. But what do you remember most about just how much of a wagon that team was?
Yeah, I think it was interesting for me, like my perspective. I was a late recruit, so back then guys were committing to schools like freshman year of high school, sophomore year of high school. I committed in March of my senior year, so almost a year after committing, we were actually playing the national championship game. So it was really quick for me to get inundated with the team, and at first, like I get there and I'm thinking, hopefully I belong here, like hopefully I can keep up. But from day one, it was, we're going for the championship. We're going to win the championship this year. And everybody bought into that. And I think that's a credit to, great culture, but also great leadership. Not only with Coach Tierney and Coach John Orson was a coach there at the time. Trevor Tierney was our volunteer assistant, Coach Tierney's son, and obviously now the head coach, Matt Brown. It really just came from the top down, like what needed to get done for us to reach the next level. And we're always trying to chase our best game. Like there was games that we'd win and, we'd get to practice on Monday and it's like, this isn't going to be good enough, come Memorial Day, like we got to be better. So we're always striving and the discipline to be better there. But I also look a lot at our senior leadership, guys like Wes Berg, Sean Cannizzaro, Carson Cannon, Eric Adamson, all these guys that, they bought into the process, but they also knew how to make sure we were all having fun. We all really enjoyed hanging out with each other. We all really enjoyed working hard together. We would have these workouts on Friday in the fall, and nobody wanted to be there. They were always so tough. It would be conditioning, and it was fun just grinding through it with the guys, and just bearing that adversity together, whether that was on the field or off the field. So I think that's what really sets apart. So when it came crunch time, it was like, we're ready. We're ready and we're smiling. We're not scared. We're ready to do this together.
And I mean, you're a team guy, but we obviously have to highlight you. You're on the podcast. It's not just a team. So from national championship to first round overall pick, I guess the question I have for you is like, okay, seeing the culture and style of play at Denver, you then go to the MLL. You had some play time in the NLL, and then, your stint in the MLL was so short because the PLL was knocking on the door, not too long after. What was the transition period for you for each of those different, leagues? And was there one that was more difficult to adapt to than the other?
Oh yeah, that's a great question. I would say, NLL was probably the hardest. Getting into that, I think the game, not only is it a little bit of a different gameplay, but there's more responsibility for me. I think I'm extremely grateful for Philly drafting me and really taking a chance on me. Like, I was a face-off guy. We're going to draft you as an indoor lacrosse player. You're going to take face-offs. We're going to run out of the back door. You're going to be a player, and we're going to teach you. So I think with that, I learned a lot. Not only did my stick get a lot better, but I just understood the flow of the indoor game and trying to learn that. I was still learning a lot of different strategies on the outdoor game at that point, and it's like now we're completely adding another wrinkle into this. So I think that that was probably the toughest transition, and I think maybe I do really well at the faceoffs, but I didn't play great defense that game. I leave the game and I'm upset, rather than in an outdoor game, like I can get by with just having a great day facing off, and it kind of inspired me to want more out of my play, and I think that translated to outdoor as well. I think the transition going to the MLL was hard in a different respect of, I just came off my college season, and then now I'm going right into the pro season where I'm coming in with a whole bunch of new guys. Some of them are 5, 6, 7. Brody was on the team, 10 years older than me. And getting in the locker room with those guys from being, hey, I put 4 years in and I was finally at the top of college, and now I'm coming in and there's guys that, have been at the top of this game for a decade, so just seeing how I fit in there and being able to compete at that level. But so that was more of like off the field type of things, like more the mental side of things. And I feel like indoor kind of took a little bit of both,
And then with the
I feel like,
yeah, go ahead. You have, when that league started, the co-founder, Paul Rabel's like, I need Baptiste to be a part of the Atlas. Like, that's for you though. I mean, having someone who is not only an icon in the sport, obviously the creator of the league, saying on one of the biggest podcasts in the world with Part of My Take, yeah, I got to make sure Baptiste was coming along with the Atlas, and that was happening because he's the best Fogo in the sport right now, and I need him on my team.
Yeah, no, I mean, I appreciate that. Shout out Paul. It was a great shout out there, and yeah, like I just like I said, I just want to help the team win. I just want to win.
So off that as well, I feel like there's another really tough wrinkle too, because I mean, you went through 4 coaches in your pro stint so far, right? And I'm talking specifically like outdoor, right? Not counting the NLL, but you started off playing for Sean Quirk in Boston, and then you guys go through 3 coaches with the Atlas too. I mean, from your perspective, a guy that's considered a vet now by all means, right? Like, what does that mean for sort of your role to keep the culture the way it is and to stay sort of on the winning track and to do the things that you guys want to do as a club when the coaching staff turns over so much?
Yeah, I think it's tough. It's definitely been a challenge. And, sometimes I look across the league and I look at some other teams. It's like, wow, like you guys have had the same coach this whole time. It's like crazy to think about. And even, with that, I think every coach is going to come in and they're, you don't get a job coaching pros unless you're a top coach, and that's the bottom line. We've had top coaches every year and all over the league, but every coach has their style that's different, and it's so important that the team is understanding and meshes well with that style. And to win a lacrosse game, there's so many different ways you could do it. You could have success as a team doing complete polar opposites of each other. There's not one way to do something, but what's important is that everybody's on the same page. So I think from a player perspective and, being a captain on the team, it's just making sure everybody's on the same page. And, I think everybody has their opinions of how you should play, but, it's only important that we all agree to one, and we all do that. So I think with the coaching changeover, it's just been tough for us to keep continuity, and I think a lot of that goes into just the schedule of the PLL as well. Like, I think if we were all in the same city, seeing each other every day, I think it'd be a little bit different. But, with our time being a little limited, it's really hard to get that gel and everything when you're changing a coach every year. But, I think altogether, I think we've handled it extremely well. I appreciate it for all the coaches we've had,
And you brought up like I think that's like an important aspect I don't think the fan realizes is your time together isn't necessarily consistent. It might be
Right.
via social media and texting and stuff, but I mean, you're on a weekend to weekend basis with your whole personnel. Do you see from your perspective like an excitement around the upcoming news with, set cities?
Oh yeah. Oh, I'm extremely excited. I think you know, I I'm excited for a lot of reasons, but number one is just playing for a city and calling it someplace home. I think that's going to be really special for everybody on the team and also the whole league. I want people to be excited and people to have pride to be like, this is our team. Um, and I'm excited to see how that all shakes out.
Yeah, the Denver Atlas are going to be wild.
Yeah, that would be a bad city for us. I would tell you that.
Yeah.
I'll tell you that.
That'll be nuts.
That'll be an exciting day.
I will say, yeah, go ahead. Finish your thought on the geographies before I shift it up.
I can't say. I mean, like, it's probably a really bad kept secret that it'll probably still be the Boston Cannons.
Yeah, it's definitely good. Yeah, I don't know that, but that's
no one knows. But
I mean, that's criminal. That'd be criminal if it was like, all right, the Miami Cannons. Like, cool for the players, but I mean.
Well, I feel like Paul would just get like threats, like Paul he'd have people knocking on his door, be like, "Are you serious?" Like it's for a team he played for.
Yeah, Boston is a finalist, and they wouldn't get a team.
Oh my god!
If there's one to guess, that'd be a good guess.
If you were a betting man, of course. But so I mean, you're coming off probably one of the most prolific years a PLL player's had, right? Like you were the face-off specialist of the year last year. You won the MVP last year too. Stood up on the stage and accepted both awards at that event in DC last year. I mean, what for a guy like you that you did a lot to get here, right? You've had a lot of really cool lacrosse experiences. What did that mean to you personally to hold both those awards and accept both of them?
It meant a lot. I think just talking from the face-off award, I think what's been really cool about playing at the pro level is how much respect we all have for each other and how good everyone is. You talk about a position where there's one on every team and there's 8 teams. So you're going against the top 8 players in the world every weekend. I think, everybody always likes to talk about matchups and talk about this and that, but there is no hiding and there is no easy matchup out here. Like everyone is good. Everyone is in the top 8 of the world. So, I just am very honored and respectful of that. I think, talking about the MVP, I think what really kind of hits me is, I think face-off guys get this rap that they're not really players, that they're so specialized and they'll never be, a top player on the field, even though they might impact the game. So, kind of breaking that barrier was something that really meant a lot to me, because everybody who's dressed up in the uniform is part of the team, and everybody has their role, and if you can do your role at a very high level, that's what makes you valuable. It's not what your role is. So I really attribute it to that, and it just made me feel good to get that recognition, and hopefully it kind of keeps shaping the game and the position forward for everybody playing.
And that's another good point too about the position, right? It's I'm not here to debate whether what's going on right now with the face-off specialist role is wrong or right? I'm not qualified by any means to do that, but it's sort of in a crisis right now. There's some teams that are going the prevent sort of defense model. The others are trotting out some of the best guys in the league, like you, right? So again, without debating if that's right or wrong, I mean, what do you think that position of being a face-off guy means for the game, and what value, I guess your pitch for the face-off role?
Yeah, I think pitch for the role, you said? No.
Yeah, I'm I guess do not necessarily to play it, but what does the face-off role and the art mean for this game?
Yeah.
I guess why does it have to stick around?
Oh, I got you. So, I could, I lose sleep thinking about this, so I think there's always this comparison of the tip off in basketball, and they're like, oh, would you do a jump ball after every basket in basketball? And I'm like, no, because you put the ball in the back of the net 100 times a game. That would make no sense. If we scored 100 goals a game, no, I don't think there should be a face-off. That wouldn't make sense. But now talking about lacrosse specifically, I think the open field is when so many exciting things happen. Just the ball being on the ground, those tough plays, guys making physical hits, making moves in the open field, passing the ball to the open field into transition. Those are all extremely exciting plays of lacrosse. You take the face-off out of the game, you cut that in half, okay? Maybe even more than half. And the other piece of it is I love how it gives a team an opportunity to go on runs, stop runs, or, cut a run in half, right? If it was a possession game and you score and the other team gets the ball, what if you're down by 3 with a minute left? You lost. The game's over. And you can't foul and hope for a free throw to get the ball back. We're all so skilled that you got to hope to take the ball away and then maybe give up another goal. I like it gives teams an opportunity to get the ball back and earn that opportunity, which I think is so important. A face-off is an equal battle to the ball. It's not just because somebody is good at it doesn't make it unfair. It is a fair competition. So if the ball is loose, it gives you the opportunity to earn the right to score. And a lot needs to happen for you to get the ball and put it into the back of the net. So just having a great face-off guy doesn't make you a great team. It definitely helps. I'm not going to say it doesn't help, but you still got to score. You still got to put the ball in the net, and you got 6 guys in front of you that are stopping you. And vice versa. If you don't win face-offs, you have a great opportunity to stop the other team from scoring, So I just think that it just adds a big physicality piece of the game, and it just keeps that mantra that everything's earned out here. You don't give away something in the game. Like that's the tough game. That to me, that just seems like a non-negotiable to me. But
I
I understand other perspectives.
I liked your basketball perspective because I was thinking, and I mean, you have some Philly ties, so if we're talking player comps, are you the Joel Embiid of the league? MVP. The center position is in a little bit of a crisis too, where teams are like, I'd rather run out a stretch four that can shoot the three rather than a big man, but he's out here being dominant, still keeping that center perspective.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great comparison. And I think like to that point of just strategies, like I'm all for like people trying different things, getting creative. Like that's great, like awesome. But I think like if that's a question of, certain rules in the game that's making it more fair to hide liabilities, I don't really think that should be happening. You know what I'm saying? So it goes back to the point of everybody in the uniform is part of the team, So if you have a weakness somewhere, then you got to make it up for a strength somewhere else. You shouldn't be able to hide that strength. Because when you're out on the field, you can't hide, like you shouldn't be able to cover that up. Or if you do cover that up, that should be on the other team to expose your liability. It shouldn't be on anything else.
Right. Yeah, it makes sense. I think we'll have to see, sort of what comes of that. But to transition to sort of your growth with this league, your brand that you've built. I mean, you're one of the most marketed players in the game right now. You've obviously been working with New Balance, Warrior, other really big brands. So, I mean, for you to have these accolades, but to also be somebody that the league looks at and says, yes, you are a star. You should be marketed like one. Got to be a dream come true for you. But also, what's that like to have that sort of reach with this huge audience that you've created as well?
Yeah, no, I think, I'm appreciative of being face of the league. I think, I think lacrosse is in a really exciting place, and I'm happy to kind of be on the forefront of that and to help grow the game. And I think with that comes a lot of responsibility, I think, which I don't take lightly. I think like, having reach, having people looking at you or looking for you to say things or answer questions and things like that, like, you have the opportunity to send, positive messages, positive vibes, and also just do what's right. I think a lot of things in this world, people get incentivized to do the wrong thing. So I think that, with this, like, hopefully I can just keep doing good things, keep doing good things.
And I mean, we brought it up in the beginning of the show, but we all have that tie of Bryant University now. You got Coach Pressler. So how's the season thus far with him? And, what are some things that you have learned from a coach like Pressler who, truly has seen all different perspectives of the sport?
Yeah, no, I think, I think Coach Pressler, he's been great to have a coach, and, he's a legend. And I think, I'm honored and appreciative to be able to be coached by him. I think some things I've learned, some things that come to mind just off the bat are trust and loyalty, how much he trusts in us and how much of a loyal person he is. It's actually really, I don't think his loyalty can be really put into words, and everything that he's gone through, and even just, you see it on a day-to-day. So that's always something you can respect.
Yeah, for sure. And another big trade you guys just made too. You guys just picked up Miles Jones from the Redwoods. Had to part ways with Romar Dennis, but I mean, what's it like having MJ in the room now? Obviously the one game you guys played, he scored. That was got to be a big lift off his shoulders after the couple of weeks he's had. But how's it been with MJ so far?
Yeah, no, it's been great. I think, I think it's always tough, like when you make trades, and especially when you talk about two marquee players like Miles and Romar. And Romar is like one of my best friends, and I really hope that his time at the Redwoods is special, and that he he really finds, next level to his game there. I think specifically for Miles, talk about a guy that's just proven it over and over again. He's a beast, and he's done it at so many levels. Just the physical toll that he brings to defenses is just one thing, and his skill is something that's not talked about enough. How he sees the field, how he really sets players up. Even he had one goal in our game last week, his first game, but I think he's going to continue to gel with the group and catch the flows and things that we're playing with, and I think he's going to be really big for us down the stretch. And just talking about him as a person, he's someone that I've gotten to know before the trade. He's a great guy, and he's a great team guy. I think we see someone that's just that polarizing and just that dominant. Sometimes people think that they might be about themselves or they look at them differently than the team, but I know that's not Miles from a personal level, and I'm just happy to have him on the team.
So as we close,
go ahead.
No, go Jake.
No, that was my last thing was basically just going to be like, and you've alluded to this a few times. You've advocated a lot for the phrase of lacrosse is for everybody, right? Like when you accepted those awards, you said, sort of, hey, someone that, maybe looks like me or maybe where I came from or, maybe one of those, right? Basically, you've reiterated that phrase. It's like, anybody can play this game, right? So, yeah. I mean, what does that phrase mean to you, and how important is that for the younger generation that's maybe picking up the stick for the first time, maybe figuring out if they want to play lacrosse? Like, how important is that for them to get that message?
I think it's huge. I think one, it's just an outlet for you to express yourself and have success and take you great places in life. Just knowing that you have the opportunity to do that is important. I think two, the creativity behind lacrosse is unlike any other sport, like just the mix of skill, athleticism, you can be any size player and you can find success all over the field depending on how you shape your game, which is really special. And three, I just think society today just puts a lot of people in boxes. I think, whether it's a sport or a specific sport, or if you like this specific type of music, or if you're from this area, you're like this, or you're supposed to be like this. And, I think everyone can just be who they are, and that's really cool. And I think, not only with that creativity in the sport, but I think some people might be a little bit, might shy away from the game because of the stigma that it has behind it, or stigma that somebody has created about it. And it's not actually what it is. And that's never going to change unless we get all different types of people to continue to play. So I think it's important on both sides.
Hell of a message and a hell of a podcast. So Trevor, we appreciate the time. Where can our listeners, follow you on social media, find out what you're working on? Of course, watch the Atlas games online, and any plugs that you have, the floor is yours.
I appreciate you guys having me. This was fun. You can follow along on Instagram or Twitter at Trevor Baptiste 9 and Threads too. We're on the Threads now. Come on,
you're
now.
a Threads guy.
I got all the Threads. Yeah, I'm diversifying my portfolio. Yeah, man. I got to get on TikTok. That's really what I got to do.
You did Threads over TikTok?
I would say over.
Wow.
It was just like an easy, like I just clicked a button and it was like, oh, your profile set up, like you're all done. It's like it's the same thing. It's Instagram without pictures, So I was like, oh, I'll click it. But TikTok, I gotta get on that. I gotta start. Everybody's talking about TikTok these days, and I'm just not on it. I gotta get on it.
You got enough on your plate, so I guess TikTok's the
yeah.
True.
TikTok.
I heard it takes up a lot of time, so that's like why I'm kind of scared.
Yeah. You'll be scrolling for days, but
yeah. Oh, geez. Congratulations on your move to San Diego too. You pumped to be living out there now?
Yeah, no. So I haven't moved out there officially, but I'm excited to be on the Seals this winter, and we got some fun stuff in store. So excited to get to it.
Enjoy it, man. Atlas Cannons on ESPN Plus this weekend. You go watch it there. Trev, can't thank you enough, man. Best of luck down the stretch. Couple huge games for you guys coming up, so go get them. And we're looking forward to watching you this year.
I appreciate it. Thank you.